story of Robert Johnson. In American history, the blues movement was not only responsible for one of the key changes in the music industry in young America, but would also allow the poverty-stricken communities to gain a voice for themselves in the country. It is because of this that many credit the blues movement as being one of the most influential music movements of its generation, allowing those of whom stuck in poverty and facing the daily struggle of lower-class economic status to finally have their voice heard amongst the masses. Additionally, there are many that credit this popularity of the genre to one man, a Mr. Robert Johnson. Mr. Johnson has been described as one of the greatest musical talents to have ever lived, often compared to as the Jimi Hendrix or Elvis Presley of his genre. Oddly enough, there appears to be a legend surrounding Robert Johnson that tells of a desperate man looking to carve a name out for himself and doing whatever he could do to achieve such success. According to many, Robert Johnson had sold his soul to the devil for the exchange of attaining the soul of blues, allowing him to become the greatest blues musician of his time. Johnson himself would later confirm such tales in his songs, Traveling Riverside Blues and Crossroads, in which many believe that he leaves an overwhelming number of hints that tell of his deal with the devil. Robert Johnson would later die at the young age of 27 after reaching the peak of his fame. This has led many to believe that perhaps his deal with the devil had reached its end after his fame had reached its end as well, resulting in his life being taken and his soul being paid in full. The mystery of the Octavius Ghostship. Back on the 11th of October in 1771, a whaling crew had come across what they had believed to be a ghost ship sailing nearby. The crew sailed closer to the ship and noticed a strange sight. The ship appeared to have been completely iced over, with its sails torn and icicles protruding from every direction of the ship. This led to the captain of the whaling ship to order a boarding party to journey onto the ship and to assess the situation of what had occurred. It was at this point that the whaling crew became incredibly frightened. Upon boarding the ship, they described an impossible-to-understand sight as they realized that every crew member of the frozen ship was still on board, seemingly frozen in place. Their bodies were not in positions commonly seen when examining people of whom froze to death, as they appeared to have been frozen in the middle of their activities. Even the captain of the ship appeared to have frozen in the middle of writing down a journal entry with a pen in hand. As the boarding party continued searching the ship, they became increasingly frightened and so quickly tried to grab the logbooks written by the ship's captain, only to later realize the middle of the logbook had frozen solid and fallen out, leaving only the first log entry and the last log entry for researchers to piece together what had happened. According to the logs, the ship had been stuck in the ice of the Arctic, leading researchers to believe that, somehow, the ship must have become dislodged and floated on freely, though how it would end up near the shores of Greenland will never be understood. The Black Volga. Though the legend itself is not isolated to just that of the country of Ukraine, the story of the Black Volga seems to appear all across the ex-Soviet countries that served as satellite nations to the Soviet Union. The urban legend itself has seen many iterations, with some claiming a governmental conspiracy, black market crime, and even a supernatural presence entirely. According to the legend of the Black Volga, if you find yourself walking around town late at night, you could find yourself being stalked by a Black Volga vehicle that will attempt to coerce you into entering the vehicle or will send men to drag you in if you refuse. When inside the Black Volga, these men will then begin to harvest your organs to be used for others that are willing to pay a large sum of money to get a replacement organ. Some claim that the car had been driven by the KGB. Others claim mafias and criminal organizations as being at the center, and one such iteration claims that the person driving the vehicle is that of the devil himself, ready to gather the souls of those that are lost across Eastern Europe well past nightfall. The Exorcism on Road 27. Found in Dhanmondi, Dhaka, is one of the most haunted apartments ever recorded. Located on Road 27, A second-floor apartment that has been vacant for several years is at the center of a strange urban legend that have left many people claiming that one of the most terrifying exorcisms took place in that apartment. Additionally, the condition of the apartment has left many creating new and fantastical rumors given its incredibly poor condition and borderline unlivable standards. This is partly due to the fact that one of the contractors working at the site explained that he felt a terrible uneasiness about the place, stating that several strange instances, such as objects being thrown and building materials falling over without cause, were at the center of why efforts in maintenance saw a number of issues. Though there is no evidence for these claims or the supposed and reported exorcism, many still believe the apartment to be at the center of an everlasting demonic haunting, leading to its overall vacancy and poor conditions. Encounters with Quiver Toms. If you ever plan on visiting the country of Greenland, you may have noticed several stories and references to creatures known as Quiver Toms across tourism websites or even blog posts written by Greenlanders themselves. This is due to the fact that sightings of these spirits have grown in numbers as Greenlanders have journeyed more and more into the remote regions of their country on hunting trips and hiking expeditions. Given the fact that more than 90% of the population of Greenland is that of the Greenland Inuit tribe, the legend surrounding the existence of Quiver Toms continues to grow in the modern day as tellings and retellings of old stories mixed with new encounters seem to appear all across the country. Quiver Toms are believed to be the evil spirits that reside in the mountains of Greenland. The legend comes from a real-world history, as for many centuries, the Inuit people would often banish people from the community that they deemed to be too dangerous or crazy to live amongst their population. This meant that these individuals were forced to live across the iciest tundras of the area, journeying to faraway mountains and believed to slowly die in the cold of the area. Frighteningly enough, however, some of those that were banished had survived and continued to drift into insanity. This led to them quickly becoming cannibals, eating and devouring others who became banished or anyone from the tribes that had become lost in the region. This led to the myth of the Quiver Toms that claimed that after these cannibals passed away, their spirits continued to haunt the mountains as they took the form of monsters ready to devour anyone passing by. In the modern day, many Greenlanders claim to have seen Quiver Toms in the mountains, even coming across caves filled with human bones and the noise of something screaming deep inside. The Goatman Monster. Across the states of Maryland, Louisiana, and Texas are strange witness accounts that detail the existence of a creature that locals referred to as the Goatman. Interestingly enough, it appears that many of the claims surrounding the Goatman hold consistent descriptions, with those that have personally encountered the strange monstrous creature claiming that he stands at roughly 7 feet tall and appears to be half man and half goat, fitting the description similar to that of the ancient Greek Minotaur. Though many residents local to the regions of the Goatman sightings have often remarked that the creature is more analogous to myth rather than a genuine cryptid, there are others that claim that they were attacked by the creature itself. According to the urban legends coming out of the state of Maryland surrounding the creature, residents claim that the Goatman first originated from the testing labs of the Beltsville Agricultural Research Center. The story goes that a scientist was spending his time working with goats and furthering his genetic research before a terrible accident had occurred and turned him into a massive goatman. He would go on to wander the mountains and hills, living as a hermit in shame of his new body. Though the origin story of the Goatman might sound like something from a childhood bedtime story, it is still the legend floating throughout the region and the main warning given to those wandering throughout the area late at night.